Hello everyone, my name is Mandilynn. I am the author of the young adult novel Essence and historical fantasy novel I Am Mercy, and I recently got the question of what is a chapter? Now when you're writing a book, you may ask yourself, when the heck do I start writing the next chapter? Do I end it? Do I keep going? How long is this chapter supposed to be? Like more than 10 pages, less than 10 pages? What am I supposed to do? So first and foremost, writing chapters should come naturally, and if it doesn't, we do indeed have some tips for you. Now, first thing you gotta keep in mind is whether or not you want to write a long chapter or a short chapter. If it's a long chapter, we've got like a kind of slow-paced book. A medium chapter is like regular pace, and then a short chapter is a fast-paced book. That means there's a lot of things happening. You want things to go like this and that, and you just want your reader to keep going, because they'll say like, oh, I'll stop after the next chapter, but then the chapter ends and you're like, oh, I gotta find out what happens. I'll just read another chapter, they're short. And then that just keeps happening and happening. Or you could just have a regular chapter where you're like, oh, okay, we got one long scene, there's a lot happening, and then it ends, and like, do I keep reading? If you want a little help with finding out what contains a chapter and how long it should be and when you should end it, you can always look back at plays. You know, plays have acts and they have scenes within the acts. Now, if you look at a play and see how the scenes and acts are divided, you'll see that an act is like one general idea that happens in that act, and then there's scenes within it. Now, each scene, of course, is a different location or different characters. So you can do that with your chapter. Every time you're in a different location or you have different characters thrown in, start a new chapter. Or if you want to keep your reader really gripped in, you can end each chapter with a cliffhanger where all of a sudden you're in the middle of a scene, all this energy is built up and things are happening really fast, and then you just end with this line that it seals up the chapter really nice, but it doesn't seal up the scene, and the reader's like, what's going on? And then that forces them to not be able to put down the book and to move on to the next chapter. Once you really start getting comfortable with writing and figuring out what you want for chapters, you get more comfortable in manipulating them in this way. So you don't just write one scene every chapter, you write half a scene. That way the reader's sitting there like, I need to know what's going on. So that way they're forced to read the next chapter and not put the book down. If you just have one scene per chapter, then the scene ends and they're like, okay, I'll just put it down and read it later. And you don't want that, because God knows, what if they put it down and they never pick your book back up? So you want to leave them hanging sometimes, but not completely, just enough so they feel like they have to read and move on to the next chapter. If you need a little help with this, all you have to do is pick up your favorite novel and read it and observe how that author manipulates chapters. See if they put an entire scene in a chapter and then have it end. Or see if they do these little subtle cliffhangers that force you to want to move on to the next chapter. So that's what I have to say on the subject. If you guys have your own little bits of advice, feel free to comment down below, give the video a thumbs up, and subscribe. Thank you for watching.